Adani Group-owned NDTV has appointed former Securities Exchange Board of India SEBI Chairman Upendra Kumar Sinha as an independent director and non-executive chairperson of the NDTV Board of Directors. Remember, Sinha served as the chairman of market regulator SEBI for over 6 years between 2011 and 17. The news broadcaster also appointed Welspun India's Chief Executive Officer Dipali Goenka as independent director on the board. Both appointments will come into effect from 27th of March for a tenure of 2 years, the company said in a regulatory filing. Now, staying on course with Adani, billionaire Gautam Adani's AMG Media Network has also acquired a 49% stake in Raghav Behel's digital business news platform Quintillion Business Media Private Limited for approximately 48 crore rupees. Now, Quintillion Business Media runs the news platform Bloomberg Quint, now called BQ Prime. In a stock exchange filing, Adani Enterprises said that its subsidiary AMG Media Network Limited has completed the acquisition initially announced in May of last year. Now, Adani Group has set up AMG Media Network for its foray into businesses of publishing, advertising, broadcasting, distribution of content over different platforms of media network. In September of 2021, it hired veteran journalist Sanjay Pugalia to lead the media company Adani Media Ventures. Viewers may also remember that AMG Media Network acquired majority shares in NDTV last year. Now, Adani Group stocks, which were staging some sort of comeback in March, are once again under pressure. We will discuss the causes of that pressure later on. But remember, 6 of the conglomerate's 10 listed entities were locked in the lower circuit today. These also include Adani Power, Adani Transmission, Adani Green Energy, Adani Total Gas, Wilmar and NDTV. Meanwhile, Adani Enterprises, Adani Port, Ambuja Cements and ACC shares tanked 3 to 7% in today's session. The group's flagship Adani Enterprises fell about 7% today. Month to date, however, the stock is now up about 18%. Now remember, this is on the back of 54% fall in February and 23% decline in January when Hindenburg came out with its scathing report. Joining me in the studio is my colleague Suyash. Also joining me at this point in time is Rajesh Tamde and Amit Gupta. Suyash, I want to come to you first. What has put pressure on Adani stock? Why is it a boiling pot over the last 1 week?
So Shweta, there are multiple issues that has turned the investors jittery at this point. Employees Provident Fund, which is India's largest retirement fund, said it will continue investing in Adani Group stocks, the 2 Adani Group stocks, which are Adani Enterprises and Adani Ports, till September of this year. Otherwise, their trustees, unless their trustees decide otherwise. Now, we need to also point out that EPFO is not directly going out and buying into Adani stocks, right? The money that is going into Adani stocks is through their investments into ETFs, exchange traded funds, right? So EPFO has a mandate of investing about 15% of their corpus into the exchange traded funds, which tracks benchmarks like Nifty and Sensex. And as we know, Adani Ports and Adani Enterprises are both part of the Nifty and Sensex index, right? So what this means is that the ETFs that are tracking this indices will also continue buying into these stocks, right? And now, since EPFO is investing into these ETFs, the retirement money of the Indians will also continue flowing into these stocks. Okay. So another issue which I think has been the long-standing issue of debt, the latest in that saga is that Adani Group is looking to renegotiate its debt repayment terms in relation to its debt with ACC and Ambuja Cements, which is about $4 billion. And then there is the acquisition of Quintillion, the rejig in the management of NDTV, as you were mentioning earlier. So a bunch of issues that we have that are, that has turned the investor sentiment sour at this point. So Rajesh is also there. I want to understand, Rajesh, what is the biggest overhang for the investors at this point and what's making them jittery?
See, I suppose it is the market perception. I personally feel, if you ask my opinion, I am very confident about it. But the way I have been doing all these programs, a lot of people have been trolling me. I'll give you a very simple example. The same Holcim company, in fact, when they came to India in 90, and Lafarge paid a price of $80 to $90 for acquiring the Arasmata cement plant of Raymond's in Chhattisgarh. That was somewhere in Bilaspur. Well, that time the price was $80 to $90 a metric ton. Today, what a whopping amount these guys are paid. You're acquiring a capacity of 30 to 35 million tons for 80,000 crores. And my contention is, which is the industrial group today, in fact, which has this kind of money to invest 80,000 crores? I mean, a cement plant which is making cement through the clinker route will not be acquiring this kind of a capacity. A cement plant which is through the limestone route, which has got an annual capacity of 10 million tons or 15 million tons, will not like to grab a company because that would be a too big thing for them. Capacity of 10 million ton company acquiring 35 million tons not been heard of. I mean, that's not even economically, it doesn't become viable also. And tell me something, I mean, my contention is that the Adani, the Dhamra port, which was bought by these people, which was jointly promoted by Tata Steel and L&T, and today you're putting up a terminal for all his energy business. In fact, your partner is Total. And look at the balance sheet of Total, look at the reputation of Total. I mean, all these things looking into account, I'm looking at the man going around and buying the port in Israel. And, he has Wilmar, that is his into solvent extraction. What else you want? I mean, he's got the largest solar capacity. What do people want? I mean, whatever the hit which Edinburgh had to do it. I mean, in public domain today, we are not talking about, that the world was stashing the money in World Bank for when the World War in Switzerland. Today, that same Switzerland has gone in for a tailspin. Credit Suisse, which is a 100-year-old bank, has gone for a tailspin. Because we're not talking about Silicon Valley and all. Today, nobody talks in public domain that India is doing a rupee trade with 17 countries. I mean, what I'm looking at is I have no relationship with Gautam Adani. I've never met Gautam Adani. But as an analyst, I would say I have very high respect for such people, whether it is Tata's, Birla's, because these are the guys we want in this country who are building India. Whether it is Tata's, Birla's, Adani's, and the Adanis and the Ambanis of the world, I would say. So my contention is I'm very bullish on this. This is just a perception. Ultimately, the markets will settle down and it will bounce back because people are underestimating what Adani Total Gas is.
So Rajesh, it seems you're fairly optimistic about the prospects of the Adani group. So I just want to ask you, how did you read into Hindenburg's report?
Well, yeah, I don't see Hindenburg. Who's this guy? Who's Hindenburg? I mean, he's a trader. He's doing some short selling. He must have promised something. He wants to complete the deal. So, he comes up with a report and he hits these stocks and he makes a deal. I mean, what is he? Is he a white lily or he's a God's saint or something? I mean, he's also a typical trader. He's a businessman. Why go after it? I mean, he's not a credit rating agency like Standard & Poor or whoever, or the Indian credit rating agencies. Why give too much of importance and why read too much between who's this guy Hindenburg is? According to me, he's a very silly guy.
Okay. Rajesh, you may not be giving importance, but there are a lot of investors who are looking at Adani at this point in time and definitely giving it importance.
Well, then, in fact, what I would say is it's only time, in fact, which will say that, in fact, my analysis will work out to be correct. Because, in fact, when we do these TV programs, we are doing it only with the intentions of some TRPs or this thing. And today, the name is attached to some political this thing. So I think, this is the way we are doing it. But okay. I think as far as the business model is concerned, it's a perfect business model. He's a pakka businessman. He's the second Dhirubhai. And I'm very confident about this man. He'll sail through. There's nothing wrong. Okay. Who has the capacity to go in and buy wholesale? The guys who came to India, that time, in fact, when they said that, all these Indian companies are incapable of doing business, only the multinationals will do it. And today, guys like Ramdev Baba and all these guys are teaching these multinationals a lesson, and these guys are talking about very negative about us. I'm very positive about my own people, and I'm very positive about these Indian businessmen. Okay. India is absolutely onto a strong wicket.
Okay, we'll let time play it out, but I want to ask you a question about debt at this point in time. How optimistic are you about Adani's capability to pay back its debt? Do you think the issue has been overplayed? How are you reading it?
See, every business, it's only the software companies, the IT companies can only be a zero debt company, but a manufacturing company, when you're making a product, you cannot be a zero debt. There's nothing wrong in zero debt. And as long as you're able to service your debt, and if you're able to pay off your banks and all, there's no problems. Even Ambani's also had a very high debt. They paid off. So as long as your company is good, your operating profits are good, you're able to pay, you're able to service the debt, what is the problem? So as far as cement is concerned, even if he's taking, I mean, who has that kind of money to buy a cement plant? Nobody keeps 80,000 crores in the cupboard. So obviously you have to take a loan, you have to have a high debt, you have to put your own money. So there are various instruments by which, in fact, you're raising the funds. In fact, I've written an article also. If you want, in fact, I'll send it to you, where it says that, in fact, he's not the only man, in fact, who's got the highest debt. Even Tatas have a much higher debt. Birlas have a higher debt. So what is wrong in keeping a debt if you're able to service the debt? Otherwise, the company chalengi nahi. How will you run a company? How will you acquire companies when you don't have a debt?
Rajesh, you seem to be having a very strong negative opinion about Hindenburg. Now, I want to come back to them. Do you think there is a confirmation bias, like since they have invested, 2 years looking into Adani, they are riding that short trade. Do you think that they stepped into it with a preconceived notion or, midway through, maybe if it was not working out, something like that, they had to push the agenda because 2 years you gave into that report?
See, ultimately, I don't give too much of importance to this report. I only deal him as a trader. I mean, I would not even look at what Soros says. These Firangis are not supposed to come and tell us how we have to do business. I mean, Indian guys know, the Indian businessman is a very intelligent businessman. They know how to do business. They're able to take care of their business and the debts and all. I think too much of importance has been given to this aspect. I mean, I would not like to comment anything on this guy, Heidenberg.
Okay. Rajesh,
I'm not very positive about this man.
Sure. So the stocks have obviously corrected about 50%, more than 50% that is. So at this point, strictly from a valuation perspective, what stocks can, if someone is looking to add or looking to get into Adani stocks, what stocks would you say could be a good bet for them at this point?
See, according to me, if you ask me, my favorite would be the platform, the terminal business, what they're into. I get fascinated by oil and gas industry. Adani Total Gas is my favorite. But of course, I mean, I don't invest in stock market. I don't have any investments. I don't buy shares. I don't sell shares. It's only my opinion, in fact, which I give. And if I buy these shares, of course, I mean, my opinion will be biased. But the way, the Petronet LNG product came in, the liquefaction project, the regasification at the way LNG, Petronet LNG did it. I mean, now the way he's doing it in Dhamra, and then you have distribution rights in 21 cities. It's a fantastic thing. I mean, I think it's going to be, the future is bright for this, provided, of course, I mean, things settle down. It's just the dust which has to settle down. I don't feel so. There's a more of a political angle to it. I don't draw much of an this thing to it. I don't give much of a weightage to it.
Yes. So,
see, I've been in this industry. Let me tell you, I've been functioning in this industry for 35 years. I have an experience of 35 years when I started my career. I mean, I haven't seen any of the guys, in fact, with this kind of a potential. I've seen the fall of DCM people, Bharatram, Charatram. I've seen Escorts. I've seen Modi Nagar today. I mean, where is Modi Nagar today? I mean, all these companies are dead. Thapas, they're all dead. I mean, this is what we want for India. I mean, if we want this kind of a growth, what India is on to that path. We want these people.
So there are 10 listed entities of Adani, right? You're bullish on all of them? All of the prospects of all 10 companies are looking great as per you?
Well, I would say what is wrong with solvent extraction, as long as, we all are going to live, you are going to buy edible oil, I'm going to buy edible oil. So that project is very good. Adani Total Gas is good. Solar power is good. Adani Enterprises, of course, happens to be the holding company. Well, you have to have a holding company like you have Steel Authority of India under as a holding company for Bhilai, Raurpur and Durgapur. Well, that's one concept what we're talking about. But what is wrong with the projects what he's doing? You need cement. I mean, the kind of the growth what India is going on, the constructions of these highways and whatever we're building in, you need cement. So what is wrong? I mean, every business is on. I mean, it's a more of a political turmoil which has been attached to it. I think people are attaching too much of importance. Once this program gets over, you are also alive. I'm going to be there. And 1.5 years down the line, I'll tell you what kind of price people are going to get it. If people are going to sell it, they're making a mistake. If they continue to hold it, and if they're able to ride through this tide, I mean, this is where the profitability is, because you have to play. And if you're not able to take the risk, then don't get into stock market.